The sun is setting over the figure eight here at Sydney Motorsport Park. Hi everybody, welcome to the last round of the Hi-Tec Drift Allstars Championship for season 2016-17. Dave Carter joining me for what promises to be an amazing last round, but everyone's talking about the weather. Dave, it's warm.
Man, like nearly 50 degrees out there. A lot of these cars are going to have mechanical issues tonight, but that's not going to stop the boys from going out there and putting on an absolute show. It's really going to be a battle of endurance tonight.
The championship coming into this last round, the top four are all in contention and are all here, but it's really a battle between the top two. Brad Toohey and Bo Yates have been raging on in those 86s all season long. Tonight we're going to figure out who's going to win it. It's been a fantastic season so far. Toohey advancing from our number 2 qualifying spot. Jeffrey from P4. And it's the horsepower of the big 86 that's opening up a slight lead and maybe a slight advantage despite Jeffrey's best efforts.
Looking at the digital dash there, I saw a number up around 120, 130 degrees Celsius. I hope that was oil and not water, but I know both of these guys are well and truly aware of the mechanical danger. They just go for it. And Brad Toohey,
I thought he was going to lose it then. It was big angle. And on the Achilles radial replay, fair to say that either of these guys deserve the win tonight, especially how they've driven in the final. But it will go to Brad Toohey. He starts season 2016 in the perfect way.
and a first here could really equalise that lead that Toohey managed to pull in the first round. But it looks like now that lead may be going to Yates, flawlessly linking that front straight there and just tagging the outside ripple strip. All of the induction being forced into those two motors. Big turbocharged JZ under Yates' bonnet, twin supercharged V8 under Toohey's.
Judges' scorecards are through and they've given it to Bo Yates. He's on the board in season 2016 with some very quick driving. Right at the end, Achilles radial replay will show that moment. A little bit crossed up for Brad Toohey, but congratulations to Bo the Show.
Bo starting in the chase here as he did qualify lower than Scott Shembry, but that's probably a position that Bo wants to be in as he gets to watch the person he's about to compete against, gauge the speed and work out what he's going to need to do up against Scott Shembry when the positions are reversed. Both of them narrowly separated, both pouring off an absolute torrent of smoke.
These two fought for the championship last year. Big points up for grabs. Bo Yates looking good.
Big fast entry there from Bo Yates. Wow.
Is this enough to turn around that slight advantage? Tell you what, Shembry came chasing.
Yeah, as much as that entry was on point from Bo, Scott was right there with him, and on each switchback, it seemed like the emulation was just there from Scotty. You can see the dive of the nose here, that as they come across the finish line, the gap is getting smaller and smaller, and it is for that reason that the judges have announced Scott Shembry as the winner of round 3.
And this is the final battle of the night. Snuck up on us quite quickly in the end, but this is for the trophies. This is big for Brad Toohey's championship. Can he extend it out even further here? Good chase run from James Abbott, right with him. Good angle though from Brad Toohey, and that will be tight in front of the judges. Geez, shallow line through there for Jabbett. Toohey emulated it.
Jabbett's chase was close, but I'd say Toohey's was closer on the sweeper and a spin.
Toohey throws it away in a cloud of dust. James Abbott will win the night. And this could be the difference between keeping the championship alive. Jab it all the way out. That dirt drop won't hurt because he is the victor here tonight for round 4.
Watches it and whips back around. He's full lock the other way, but just overpowers it on the rear end there. That will keep the gap nice and close between Bo Yates and Brad Toohey.
We're looking forward to the final. Who is going to win the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars? It's been an epic battle between the two Toyotas. The 86ers has been raged right here on the figure 8. We're gearing up, nearly time to send these cars and drivers out onto the figure 8 for the last round. There is the defending champ. He is technically in contention. Helmets going on. And this is going to be a big night of racing. The talk of the town, it's those two Toyota drivers. And Manotta Francesca, our reporter in the pits, caught up with them.
Well, everyone's talking about this man for sure. He is on the top of the leaderboard. Brad Toohey joins me, and it all comes down to tonight.
Yeah, it certainly does. Obviously coming into the final round with the lead in the championship. Fellow Achilles Radial teammate 15 points back, and I think Scott Shembry's in there somewhere as well, so it's going to be awesome.
Are you feeling the pressure? Do you just want to go out there and have a good time tonight, or you think it's going to be playing on the back of your mind that you're 15 points up and you could possibly win the championship?
Oh, look, obviously if we win the championship, that is the ultimate goal, but I think if you think about the championship, you're not going to drive like you normally drive, so just go out there, do what I do, hopefully have some great battles, and what will be will be.
Bo Yates, here we are at the final round, round 5, and of course the championship is still up for grabs. You're only down by 15 points.
Yeah, 15 points is pretty close. I mean, Brad's been up the front all year, so I've had a pretty bad round. First round, actually, I broke an axle up against, I think it was Rob Arbolino in the Hi-Tec car in the top 8, so that cost me heavily. But, you know, coming into the final round, 5th round here at Sydney Motorsport Park this weekend with only 15 points behind Brad, God, we'll be giving it our all, and it's, as everyone knows, it's 40-odd degrees out here today, so I think it could be anyone's game.
And at Sydney Motorsport Park, obviously everyone knows anything can happen. Obviously qualifying is going to be very important.
Yeah, definitely. I think qualifying is going to be key tonight. Like, I definitely want to try and put it up in the top 3, and you know, and we'll just go through the paces from there. I mean, it's a pretty tight, pokey little track, the figure 8. We all know it very well, so I don't think it's you know, it doesn't really sort the men from the boys, but there's definitely some really close battles, and you just never know your luck down here on the figure 8. It can be pretty treacherous at times. So, you know, I'm really happy to be out here for the 5th round, and hopefully we push for the championship.
Tonight I'm up on our first and also last corner, and what I'm talking you through is after the guys have had a nice snappy initiation and transition into their drift, where we want to push through their first zone, which is just over there, making sure that they push their vehicle right out to the very edge of this track here, where you can see that some guys have got out there and following through to the cone behind me. Where we don't want is for the guys to be coming further into the track here and getting inside of the corner. It's particularly important to make sure that they're not doing that in battles when the lead car is out on that line. Once they've got through here, guys, and they push past this cone up the top there, they're going to continue to push all the way around and keep lots of angle and speed on as they go through across the crest and into the second zone.
What we're going to be looking for is a fast, snappy transition into the second front point here. We don't want to see any cars cutting the corner. That's going to be a deduction. We just wanted to get through here quick, show they have control of the car, and get on to the next corner.
Coming from the second sector, we want to maintain a nice wide line, and then coming out to the witches' hats here, coming back through, cutting through the apex. So we want to see a couple of sparks, but we don't want to see too much cutting of the apex. We need to allow the second car, the chase car, to come up on the inside angle. Up onto the last sector, there's the ripple strip section. We want to see at least half the car over the ripple strips so we can get a nice maintained speed, line and angle through that section.
Well, before we can get into the battles, we need to quickly check on the qualifying highlights. Rob White, former national champ, parking this thing in the top 3. But the big news here, Dave, is that our championship leader has had to qualify in a different car, not making it in the top 3.
Yeah, that twin supercharged V8 powered 86 of Brad Toohey didn't really like the heat tonight and spun a bearing. And another one of the cars out with mechanical issues, although before the event, was Scott Chembry's famous Trento. He's borrowed that S13 off Schultze, RB25 under the bonnet and killing it, but no surprises here. Bo Yates at the top of the qualifying order, as he's been known to do. An absolute master of the figure 8 circuit tonight, and one of the things to watch out for is how he does that front straight. We're going to see him do this line that nobody else seems to be able to match tonight, where he comes up on that outside edge. Man, it's a good run. Incredible stuff.
So Brad Toohey, the championship leader, with issues. Bo Yates has a small advantage now as our number 1 qualifier.
I feel for Brad, actually. I mean, I suffered the same fate up here last year on South Circuit. I know what it's like to break an engine, and when you're fighting for championship points, it's definitely a difficult blow. And for the team as well, we're here this tonight, the Achilles Radial team, and it's a bit of a shock for the team. But, you know, Brad's just qualified in another car, and he's still in it, so I wish him all the very best.
So a big change in the tail, and it gets better. They're not due to meet each other until the final, if that's possible here. That would be enough for Brad Toohey to wrap up the championship, but he'll have a former champ in James Abbott for his first battle in the top 16. That's one of quite a few big battles that we have coming up. Only a few side-by-side battles happen in the top 32. A lot of solo runs and bypasses, which means we are now into the top 16 action under lights, and it starts now. Bo Yates needs to dominate here on Brad Hallam to keep the championship hopes alive, and Dave Carter, that's a handy little gap he's opened up.
Yeah, I bet that's a really intimidating spot to be in for Brad Hallam. First time he's been out in this series tonight, although I'm sure he's hit the figure 8 a number of times in that beautiful looking JZX 100 Chaser, big wide body guards that has quite a similar turbocharged straight 6 to Bo Yates's actually, but obviously with a lot less power and development, and Bo just opening up a really strong gap there out in the lead. You know, blazing through that sweeper there. So it's going to be interesting to see how the difference in speed between these two cars goes with the position switch.
He's used to being in that championship hunt, but so many times he's fallen short. Over a decade of trying for Bo Yates to get his hands back on a big championship. Could tonight be the night? He needs to just tick one box here as he now chases Brad Hallam with a big advantage, you'd have to say.
Yeah, pretty angry tip in from Brad, but it's interesting to see the massive increase in grip that Bo's car has over Brad's, trying to dive in here, chasing Brad through that bottom section, and that's where it becomes really difficult in drifting when you're in a high grip, high power car trying to chase someone who's that little bit slower. It's difficult to avoid diving into the quarter panels, like you could see through the bottom section there, and then holding that nicely through the final sweeper.
Achilles Radial replay, judges scorecard, send Bo Yates on through to the top 8. So he's achieved his first task. He needs to keep moving through these elimination or battle rounds to have any chance of taking this championship off Brad Toohey. Well driven by Hallam, but Yates is here to play tonight.
Sanders out in front now up against Glenn Ormerod, and this is another kind of real differential between the two cars. 400 and something kilowatt RB26 under the bonnet of Mitch Sanders, up against the carburetted 13B under the bonnet of that K70. It doesn't get much more raw, and you know, back to the roots of drifting than a peaky NA in a little Corolla. That'd be a fun thing to drive, and he's doing well keeping up with Mitch.
Two extremely well presented cars, but like you said, on completely opposite ends of the scale. And Ormerod couldn't really stick to the door there of the IT Genius Nissan. And as a result, on the Achilles Radial replay, the judges give that advantage to the way of Sanders.
It's worth noting, though, that the judges do take into consideration the difference in power levels of the cars. You know, if we saw both those cars go out and Glenn really close the gap that Mitch opened over him, then it may have been a different story. But it was a clear lead from Mitch Sanders in the lead position. So now that they switch, will he be able to replicate the line and speed of Glenn Ormerod?
Sanders, our number 8 qualifier, Ormerod in the number 9 spot. So they were the two closest cars in qualifying that we'll see do battle in this top 16.
Interesting. I mean, Glenn really opening up a bit of a lead there. quicker through the middle section, but this is where the power will come on board here of Mitch rocketing up the straight, diving in there, up against that little Corolla. So you can see the power differential there, but through the middle section, they're equally matched, if not Glenn that little bit quicker. But Sanders going through and getting the nod from the judges.
Good chase run from Mitch Sanders. Glenn Ormerod laid it all down there. Technically was quite clean, particularly through the top of the circuit, getting to the clips where the judges would have liked him. But it's Mitch Sanders and the IT geniusness in that marches on through the top 8.
Thanks so much. It's I'm sure you're hearing this from all drivers, but tonight's conditions are probably the hardest conditions I've ever experienced in my years of drifting, which is one. So my car's been constantly getting over 115, 120 degrees water temperatures, and my electronics are stopping working. But I put down a good lap, and it was really good. Glenn really pushed hard, and yeah, it was fun.
Just for those of you playing at home who aren't that mechanical, I mean, your regular everyday car might run between 80 and maybe 95 degrees Celsius on a hot day. 100 degrees is where your kettle boils when you're making a cup of tea. So 120 degrees under the bonnet of that car is absolutely cooking.
And it's about 120 degrees under the helmet of Brad Toohey as he chases James Abbott. You're riding on board with the championship leader. He needs to win this battle to keep his championship hopes alive.
What a different driving experience it must be. Anthony Billick very kindly lending Brad Toohey that turbocharged SR20 S13. But, you know, up against James Abbott, who's been driving that car for many, many years in an unfamiliar, very grippy light S13 that would be so different to a twin supercharged V8 8.6. Toohey just did a great job to get out there, qualify, and actually put down a pretty keen chase run. So let's see him in the lead.
It's advantage Abbott. Toohey is down 2 sets and a break here. He needs to really dig deep on this lead run. Abbott stuck it to the door early through the top part of the circuit. Brad Toohey has been perfect for 4 rounds. Mechanical drama strikes him tonight. He changes car, and he's trying desperately to keep this championship alive, which he very much deserves to be a part of.
I'll tell you what, despite being just a touch slower than Jabbett and a little less aggressive on the entry to the sweeper, that was a really clean run from Brad Toohey, particularly in a car that, you know, isn't familiar with. But Abbott luckily getting through there. So that is Toohey's season championship over. Where will he finish?
Yeah, to be honest, I think that's probably the nastiest thing I've ever done. But Brad has fought so hard, and to have him come up with a blown engine tonight, it's heartbreaking for him. I mean, we've all had bad luck at different times, and I've had my fair share this year. But I think hats off to Billick for lending him the car. He's the good guy of the night. Taking Brad out, I guess I'm the bad guy.
Oh, that is the sport of drifting. You need to worry about yourself, and unfortunately, tonight it's bad news for Brad Toohey. James Abbott's teammate now out front.
He's going to be sitting in the pits biting his nails because he would have collected a few points for where he finished in the top 16. So now it's all about where the rest of the people finish, and namely Scott Shembry. He's sitting up there on the ladder in, I believe, 3rd position. He's in a borrowed, I think it makes about 400 horsepower, this RB25 S13. So sort of similar to old Treno, bit more torque, but again, out there in a borrowed car, so you don't want to bend that, especially when it looks that good.
And putting some distance on Dan Christick's RX-7 here. Let's just listen.
Big dive there from Christick, and the contrast of I think it's a turbocharged quad rotor or maybe still a triple rotor under the FD RX-7 up against a turbocharged RB25, you know, piston versus rotary, but both with a lot of boost pump through them. They both make unreal noises.
Not good conditions for turbo cars. Traditionally, they hate hot weather. Hard to make boost.
Man, I've seen Dan Christick's car at an earlier practice event, you know, in the middle of winter using a leaf blower to cool the turbo off, so I can't even imagine what it's like on a night like tonight, spitting flames out and getting really angry up on boost.
Good chase run for Shembry, trying to keep it to the back of this little RX-7. It's a real crowd favourite. And what will the judges say about this? The Achilles radial replay, and 3 out of our top 4 championship contenders have gone through, but not the man leading the points. So Scott Shembry, is his title chase still alive in the top 16?
Yeah, no, I'm feeling comfortable in the car every lap I get out there. It's just a well set up car. Once again, thanks to Schultz for giving it to me. I wouldn't be here without it. I wouldn't still be in that championship contention. So we're going to keep pushing hard. He told me to go hard, so if it's up to here, he shouldn't have probably said that realistically. So we'll see if he comes out unhaved.
Drama in the top 16 here tonight. The last round of the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars Championship still alive, so don't go anywhere. Championship night here at Sydney Motorsport Park for the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars with thanks to Hitachi and Achilles Radials. It's been a great season so far and a great night so far. We're in the top 16. Thumbs up, Dave, because it's time to get loud.
Battle of the V8 S14s here. That was on board with Aaron Duar up against Benny Meir. I mean, Series 1 S14 front, Series 2 in the chase. If you've ever wondered what the difference is between the two cars, Duar, before this, actually going back to a carby setup from AFI on that big V8 under the bonnet of the lead car. So having a bit of a tweak seems to be working for him. That speed is incredible through the bottom straight.
Oh, big straighten up. Duar needed a big handful of that one.
What was otherwise a really good run through that last bit of the sweep is going to be a big mark down from the judges, but just over-rotated that little bit, and as Benny Meir was rocketing in there, Duar making a little bit of a mistake, so that's where the no advantage comes from. Ben Meir seemed to have the speed coming up the straight there, but not quite through the bottom section, so let's see how that separates the two cars now as the positions are switched.
Benny Meir, a regular in this championship and a tough competitor. Fair to say, Dave, they both had a get-out-of-jail card on that first run.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, either of them could have been knocked out there if the mistake was bigger from Duar or if Benny Meir had to let that gap go a little bit more, but they're not separated by all that much now in a second run here. The judges have said earlier on they're going to try and avoid having reruns tonight because of the mechanical difficulties of the heat, but that's one we're going to see. How would they separate those two cars? What a run between Duar and Meir.
Particularly love the finish from Duar as he just hazed it through the finish line. So we'll do it all again in the hot conditions.
A lot quicker off the line that time round. Bit of a dab of the handbrake and into that sweeper there. Pretty tight, but I mean, Ben Meir could be chasing that a little bit closer. Let's see if Duar's able to rock it away on the bottom straight again. And I don't know if the judges would have seen that as one wheel off or two wheels off, but either way, that is a big deduction there for Ben Meir in the chase.
Tough one for the judges to score. They are at the exact opposite end from where that's happened for Benny Meir, but they're onto it. Advantage Duar.
Yeah, that puff of dirt would have given him away, but I believe it's 5 points off for a single wheel or a complete 0 for two wheels off. So either way, they ruled that it was still an obvious advantage to Duar. Oh, so angry on that entry. Look at the angle Duar packed on behind Benny Meir there. Couple of sparks as they cut through the infield. Nice switchbacks as well. Really working for it across that bottom straight. Both V8 powered cars chugging the smoke. Imagine riding in there, Chad.
How's the handbrake lever? The big spanner!
Oh!
Close! Now, were they across the finish line? That'll be the question.
Speaking about spanners, there's a bit of a spin there from Benny Meir. Right across the finish line, though, so lucky there was no contact. Let's see if that would count for his run. See, big over rotation. As much as he crossed the line, he did so backwards, and that error was midway through the corner. So I'd say that's a double mistake for Benny Meir, and Duar lucky that he's been able to force that in his rerun. And, you know, that is the purpose of reruns in drifting. In that second battle, you really feel the pressure, and drivers that you could not separate become separated pretty quickly.
Brock Stevenson now. First time we've had a good look at him tonight in the Ute. And he's out there against Rob White hunting for a spot inside the top 8.
tell you what, Rob White's car with that NASCAR V8 under the bonnet, one of the best sounding cars in the comp. Have a listen.
Oh, up the hill as well.
So angry. I mean, it's got so much throttle response, that car. It'd be nuts to drive.
Poor Ute huffed and puffed, but couldn't quite keep up with the big, powerful Nissan. Rob White punishing those Achilles radials on the Achilles radial replay.
Right on that track edge as well. That's a really nice line from Rob White, and one of the only other cars we've seen nail that front straight in the same way Bo Yates does, where everybody else does a bit of a straighten up and a re-entry. Rob, to an extent, but mainly Bo, just nails the outline ripples, the outside ripple strip. So keep an eye out for that later on tonight. So calm in that driver's seat there, Rob, just palming the wheel around, one hand on the handbrake, expecting Brock to just drop a little bit of speed in front of him and waiting to collect that. You can see how close he's getting to that bumper. And that's what the handbrake's really used for in drifting is, you know, when you're chasing, just giving him a little bit of a dab to slow you down without losing the drift.
That was the run of the night. Brock Stevenson, thumbs up out of the window, almost in celebration. He was just appreciative to be out on the figure eight against one of the best. Achilles radial replay, Rob White just hounded him and earned that spot in the top eight through proximity. And Billick, tonight's nice guy, as labelled by Jabbett earlier in that interview, up against Sean Gilbert. Billick having shared this car with the now exiting Brad Toohey.
Yeah, it's a really great car, and I swear, round after round, Billick just seems to pick up speed. This thing absolutely cooks, and look how quickly he's pulling away from Sean Gilbert. Both cars actually running the same SR20 under the bonnet, although I think Billick's is that little bit angrier, judging by the difference in smoke and speed.
Should be a fairly hefty advantage, this one, from the judges, going the way of Billick. One of the easier ones for them to figure out. They have a tough job. We heard from our judges earlier what they like to see and where you need to be on this racetrack. The cones are a pretty good visual clue, particularly on the outside of the corners. You can see one just to the right-hand side there. You need to get as close to those clipping points, as they're called, as possible. Gilbert's chance to lead. Billick needs to be patient there on the entrance.
Big speed differences we saw when the positions were switched between these two turbocharged four-cylinders. So Billick is back there, you know, obviously knows that he's got the advantage, so just taking it that little bit easier. But is it too easy as Sean Gilbert pulls away out of the bottom straight?
Be careful here. He's got a fair advantage to work with. Closes it up a bit through the top sweeper. Should be enough to seal this one away, knowing that the judges don't want to hand out reruns tonight. And there's confirmation on the Achilles radial replay. Probably some good karma for letting Brad Toohey his car. He's heading on through to the top eight.
Oh, there was so much prep work for this event to make sure the car was going to run reliable without forfeit in the last round. I had alternator issues with the charging light, and it was only rated 11.6 volts, so I couldn't do anything. But thanks to the crew, thanks for all my sponsors and everyone. The car's feeling great now. Just can't wait. I want to redeem that number one spot from last round.
So the top eight battles look like this. Yates, Abbott, Shemry, all in the championship contention right now. Need to keep moving on. Rob Arbolino also through to the top eight. Unfortunately, Mitch Jeffrey couldn't face up for his top 16 round. That is how it looks. And it is the number one qualifier and the man who is looking to be number one in the championship who goes out to try and heat up the tyres. Big moment in the championship coming up.
Man, he just comes in hot, doesn't he, Bo? Just every time he's out there. We're about to see a battle of the Zeds soon as well. Rob Arbolino in the Hi-Tec Oils one over there. Up against Rob White that we've seen doing some serious battles tonight. But Bo Yates out in front of Mitch Sanders now. I remember at some of the bigger tracks we've been at, Bo Yates telling me that he pretty much has to pedal any gear in that car, so it will, as it comes on to boost, spin the tyres, and it gives you an idea of what a 500 kilowatt turbocharged straight six can do. But Mitch Sanders right there with him, and that's a wheel off and the bumper off for Bo there, so bit of a points deduction unless we see a mistake from Mitch Sanders as well. That could be an advantage to Mitch.
Wow. Well, Bo Yates driving like a man. He knows the championship is on the line tonight. He got as close to that line as possible and then went just over it. So that could be a small deduction in points for the man who can ill afford to lose much here, and the plot thickens. Now the IT Genius car has pulled up short here with potential dramas. Let's find out what's going on with Bo as well in the pits.
Well, Bo, I ran straight over as soon as I saw you come back to the pits. The boys have been working hard, and nothing that a few cable ties can't fix.
Yeah, that's it. It's only a rear bumper. We just got a wheel off over the back there, but I think Mitch has popped a motor out there, so he can have all the time he wants, and we'll see if he can get it repaired, and we'll get back out there for a chase run. It'd just be nice to get a battle, that's all. I mean, if we proceed into the top 4, and I haven't really had a decent chase all night, and coming up against some of these other Achilles cars, it's definitely going to be a difficult night, so...
An interesting point from Bo there that, you come into this night, and as much as top qualifier seems like a bit of a reward, sometimes it can be a curse because you're the first one to get the bye runs, and suddenly you can end up in the top 8 or the top 4 without really getting your eye in for battles until you're up against some top contenders.
It'll be like coming in at the end of a game of cricket and needing to hit a 6 off the last ball without having seen one yet. You need to get your eye in against the big guys. Speaking of the big guys, he's won Scott Shemry, last year's champ. That's why he's got the number 1 on the door. And in a borrowed car, Dave, he is killing it tonight.
Yeah, doing really well in Schultz's S13. And it's through this back section here. The cars were pretty tight. And then Duar, just a little bit of a straighten up and a wheel drop through the middle there, possibly responding to the inside line that Shemry took, means that Shemry could just rocket away across the bottom straight, and Duar was left a couple of car lengths behind.
Scott Shemry came into tonight 3rd in the championship, looking to back up his season 2016 victory. No one's gone back-to-back in the championship yet. This is the 3rd year running for the Hi-Tec Drift Allstars.
Talking about a difference of speed, it's like the roles were reversed there. Duar now the one pulling car lengths on Scott Shemry. Lots of smoke there, and a really nice line as well through the sweeper. Not quite sure what's happened there, but gee, it was fast.
Yeah, and it's enough to equal up that advantage that Shemry stole earlier. So these boys heading for a rerun. Big drive from Aaron Duar to force Scott Shemry to go around again.
Mega fast through that middle section. The wheel work there was exceptional. Well done, Aaron.
He spies the defending champ out the windscreen. Needs to get a little closer than he was on that last time he chased. That's better.
What a dive in. That's aggressive there in the chase. Scott Shemry, though, blazing up onto that straight and again opening up a little bit of a gap. I wonder if there's much of a grip difference between these two cars, because I'd say the power level's about the same, but Duar's car just seems to really pump out the smoke, while the S13 just puts that power down and goes with, a little bit of a haze of smoke, but really using that tyre to get moving. So slight advantage for Shemry here, but we have seen before that that advantage in the lead may not equate to the chase in a borrowed car.
Yeah, it was a good chase run from Aaron Duar, so Scott Shemry knows that he needs to be slightly better. And that's nice and close. Good proximity.
I bet Schultz is on the line in the pits right now, biting fingernails, hoping that those beautifully prepared, freshly painted panels don't end up touching the cream dream of Aaron Duar.
Again, a bit of a gap opens uphill towards the top sweeper. It is the fastest part of the track and the most difficult to maintain that proximity. That's tough to know. It's very tough for the judges to get their head around that one. Give it to Shemry. Must have been close. Duar did everything he could. I think due to Shemry's great movement through that first sweeper and how close he was to the door of Aaron Duar, that was enough to send him through to the top 4. Let's hear from him in the pits.
Yeah, I couldn't be happier. Just to get to the top 4 in a borrowed car, it's exactly what I wanted to do. So that championship battle is still on. So we'll get the car cooled down, get back out there and just keep pushing as hard as we can.
Could be the dark horse to maybe steal this championship tonight. The only battle in the top 4 that doesn't have championship ramifications involves a beautiful pair of Nissans.
Wow, Arbolino is nice and close there. Bit of a hit on the infield. Across the dirt, but not phased.
That's the Mario Kart shortcut. Nearly paid off for Rob White. I don't think the judges will smile too kindly on that.
Man, it's
so
hard
for
not
Arbolino,
to,
that was amazing.
even if they have to mark him down for it, it puts a massive smile on my face. They're so committed. It looked like he just grabbed a little bit of his inside wheel through the sweeper there, and that's thrown him off for the switchback, but he definitely stayed into it. Oh, we've got the slow-mo as well. How good's that?
Bit of rallycross as he goes bush and nearly popped out in front of Rob White. Rob Arbolino, aggressive chase.
Look at the clutch drop on dirt. What a gun.
If in doubt, power out. And he nearly got away with that one, but not too much of a surprise there. The judges giving the advantage to this man, Rob White.
Arbolino's really going to have to turn it on in the lead if he wants to get through there. Currently sitting in a 5th position in the championship ladder, so still in contention for a good finish. And Rob White really aggressive on that chase there. But a big spin.
What a shame. Stuck the nose in. Door closed. It looked like Arbolino gave him enough room for the transition to be made here. To be honest, it's actually really Rob White's responsibility at that point. And that's enough to force the rerun. So both drivers making mistakes. And that's why we're going to send them around again.
I think it was just that Rob White came in so hot looking to really close that distance that the amount of brake he had to apply to pull it up was just enough to keep that nose stationary around the tight corner and over-rotate the rear. And as much as it wasn't a full-blown spin, he was able to bring it back. He did lose a lot of speed there. Arbolino not wanting to leave this second chase run up to chance. Very angry there on the chase. Z on Z action. It's pretty rare that, the 350s, the Hi-Tec Oils 350Z isn't the loudest car out on track, but man, that naturally aspirated V8 under the bonnet of Rob White's 370Z is on fire. What a noise.
Advantage to Arbolino, so they like the chase run. Bit of dirt kicked up there, I think from Rob White's car, so maybe that's what the judges saw. Hayes the rears. Rob White will now do the chasing. Rob White in the white Nissan. Good angle, boys. That's impressive. Oh, too much angle.
Oh, I think we might have seen a little bit of contact there from Rob White in the chase. Let's see if we can get it on the replay. Now, Rob dives in really nicely here, but you see hard on the brake pedal. A bit hard to see on that rotation there, but I think the nose of Rob White's car contacted Rob's up on this front right guard here. We'll see it. There's the touch.
Well, that Achilles radial replay is unfortunately damning on the Achilles radial car, and the judges have scored that one really well.
And that's where that comes through, is that you're allowed to bump and rub and, have little close battles together, but as soon as you alter the line of the lead car, that's a no-no, because you've thrown them off the run that they would have otherwise completed clearly.
4th in qualifying tonight and 4th in the championship points comes the Blaze unit car of James Abbott. Second time tonight he's faced off against this car. This time with Ant Billick at the wheel. Earlier it was Brad Toohey, and if you've just joined us, Brad Toohey, the championship leader. Mechanical Dramas borrowed this car on screen, and Abbott looking to put this car away again with more advantage going his way.
Billick, though, really working for it in that chase position. You can see big front wheel lock up there and battling to try and get the grip down, but it was once they got onto the bottom straight that James Abbott's car just really seemed to pull away. James making sure there's not too much of a gap here through that sweeper section. Going for a really close chase now.
Loving the custom steering wheel. Barely even touches it through that switchback part of the track. Lets the wheel do its own work. Winner of the inaugural championship a couple seasons back. Oh, hanging the rears off there, Ant Billick. Desperate to overturn that advantage, but that was a good chase run. Jabbett is excellent at chasing around the figure 8 circuit, but it's a rerun.
That was a lucky one for Billy, because that little bit of dirt there could have really sent him off. If that was 2 wheels rather than 1, it would have been a big deduction, and maybe if he hadn't have gone that wide, the judges may have given him the advantage, but it's another rerun, and this is where the pressure is really on.
Remember, hot conditions here in Sydney. TV obviously not doing it justice. Oh, that was a bit tight, bit close, bit straight and up for Billick. So advantage Jabbett here unless he makes a mistake on the second half. But reruns tonight are a big ask with engine temps soaring above 100 degrees.
Yeah, it's a really hard one when you're chasing someone who uses different speed throughout different parts of the course. So I think Billick just is expecting a touch more speed from Jabbett through that first section of the sweeper, but as a result, forcing himself into a bit of a mistake. So difficult there. You see big handbrake lock there from Jabbett because he did go that shallow line rather than blazing through the rest of it, but it is the responsibility of the chase car to emulate whatever the lead car does. So tough call from the judges, but one they really had to make.
Jabbett really working for his spot in the top 4 tonight.
Nice switchbacks from both cars there. Billick seems to be quite fast through this middle section, so he is pulling away just a little bit there, but big power of Jabbett's car and a gear click there will probably get him back up on the door of Billick.
Oh, that's close. That is very, very close indeed. Man, sticking it to the door big time. And the judges like what they saw. It's James Abbott on the Achilles Radio replay who goes through to the top 4. And the man who won this championship a couple of years ago is keeping the dream alive in the 2016-17 charge.
Yeah, so that was a bit like deja vu battling that car again in this next round, but got to give it to Anthony. He really served it to me. I know I was a bit shallow in my lead runs up into the top corner, so that's something I'll be improving into these next battles. But yeah, awesome fun. Love driving with Billick there, and he's, I think, just stoked to get through.
So would you believe it, 3 out of our top 4 qualifiers, Dave, heading on through to the top 4 tonight.
Yeah, it proves that the judges are absolutely switched on in what they're doing, because in qualifying, you're judging these cars based on their lead runs. They've nailed that to pick who will get through to the final battles, and that's what we're going to see on the other side of this break. The championship will be decided tonight. Don't go anywhere.
We are entering the business time of this championship, and tonight the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars final round, top 4. And like we've been saying, this championship's still alive, could be settled any moment now.
Battle of the 2Js here. Bo Yates out in front, up against James Abbott. Abbott not giving him any room there, entering aggressively, but a little bit of a bobble there and having to almost half reinitiate while Bo was nice and smooth through the entire sweeper. Tight again through the middle section, but this bottom straight is where Bo is just known for his speed and skill on this line. Watch him up on that outside track edge without a single switchback through the straight while James Abbott had to straighten and reinitiate. I mean, it's a ballsy line that I'm still yet to see anyone else other than Bo really nail.
Well, Bo Yates doing a great job. Achilles Radio replay. And that beautiful Hypertune 8.6 gets the advantage. Now remember, the championship leader on the trailer already tonight out in the top 16. That being Brad Toohey. So it's looking good for Bo Yates here. Needs to march on through to the final to really make sure this championship is his.
A little bit more conservative on that chase initiation than James Abbott, but Bo may just be leaving himself room to catch up, and it looks like that's what's happening here. James Abbott pulling away nicely through that middle hairpin, but what will happen on this bottom straight and up onto the front one? Let's ride on board, see this aggressive line. Look at that, right on the outside of the ripple strip there. I love it.
2 of the best. A former champ and potentially the champ in waiting. Bo Yates, desperate for a championship for the first time in over a decade, has just about done enough now. He'll go through to the top 2, the final battle, and surely that'll be enough.
Yeah, that secured him a place on the podium, but whether or not it will be the top step for the first time since 2006, we're yet to see. But man, he is really driving well tonight.
Speaking of champs, last year's champ ready to go. Scott Shemry waiting for... Oh, here we go. I was going to say waiting for Rob Arbolino, a good friend of his in the company car. Now, changing the battery here, Dave.
Yeah, I'm hearing now apparently a couple of issues with the charging system, maybe the alternator or something not going right there. So the boys frantically changing a battery, but I don't know if they've been able to actually do anything about the charging system. So it looks like the current plan now is to just put in a fresh Hi-Tec battery and go out there and run with whatever charge is left in it.
Wow, so that'll be enough to send Shemry through to the final. That is a real shame, but we should at least see Arbolino hopefully make it out for this third place runoff.
Good to see a couple of friendly hands jumping in there to help out.
Feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme.
Definitely bobsled time, Chad. We're going to see a great battle tonight.
Well, it's working. Here we go. He's going to get a bit of heat into these rear tyres and hopefully climb onto third step on the podium. But he'll be up against James Abbott, who's probably out of championship contention now, and especially with Shemry going through. Second or third might be a tough order as well. And what's going to happen here with a potential alternator issue for the Hi-Tec car? Confusion reigns as we head into the last part of the evening. We thought we'd see some reliability issues. Being a hot night here tonight, James Abbott leading the way here. Rob Arbolino sticking it to the door.
Really close chase there from Arbolino. And look at the smoke show this thing's making. You see it come on to boost and it just absolutely dives forward. That car's got a lot of grip under it.
Pump smoke out the back. Bucket loads of horsepower. Twin turbo LS, you gotta love it. And crawls on through for a pretty good chase run there. We speak about that smoke. Achilles Radio Replay. It's Arbolino getting that advantage, potentially taking an extra step closer to third on the podium tonight.
It's almost a bit of deja vu, Chad. I remember Arbolino mixing it up with his close friends at the Blaze Unit boys for the championship battle last time round. And worth noting that Rob, who's been driving really well tonight, actually spins the spanners as well, put together the motor in at least Treno's car, and very talented engine builder from Matooks Racing. You can see the bonnet jump there, and the bonnet's up. That's definitely not good, but doesn't really care about it, I guess. There's a bit of vision there.
He's not showing any sign of backing off. You can't be serious. He's looking out the driver's side window, out the passenger side window, and under the gap where the bonnet lies. We are seeing something truly remarkable here. Desperation for the last spot on the podium and hazing the rear tyres.
I mean, I've heard of people getting pretty loose in the company car, but that just takes it to another level, Chad.
That is remarkable. Almost no vision. We could see it from the onboard. Whack, up it goes. They were doing work under the bonnet earlier, weren't they? And they mustn't have secured it properly. The second it got in some fresh air, up it goes, and he's still held on for the win.
Barely a hesitation in there, hey?
There it is. In 3 years of drifting in this series, that's the best thing we've ever witnessed.
Yeah, I don't know where he's going to end up finishing tonight, but he gets a big trophy from me. Well done, Rob, you gun.
Wild, wild effort. Remarkable. And now, the championship is to be decided. Can Bo Yates finish it off in style?
Depending on where these two finish as well, will really dictate whether or not Bo gets the championship he's been dying for, or whether Shemry, who's up there in third position in the points, may climb up there, put Tui on top and Shemry in second. So it's all or nothing for Bo in this final battle. Gee, you can tell by the way he's driving, can't you, Chad? He really wants this.
Wow, Bo Yates. Talk about a big game player. With everything on the line tonight, he has driven superbly. Achilles Radial Replay. So controlled, but Scott Shemry again, you've got to sing his praises for driving a borrowed car, desperate to keep number one on the door. It's looking like it's going to go the way of Bo Yates. Remember, we don't find out who's winning this final battle until it's been completed. So no hint of an advantage yet.
And worth noting as well, this Brown S13, it's actually its first ever shakedown event. This car came out of a garage. They put up on Facebook this morning about, hey, does anybody have a roll cage to get through scrutineering? I saw them putting the roll cage in this car while everyone else was doing practice runs. So for a car to come straight out of a build and compete on the top level of motorsport up against one of the veterans of drifting is a true credit not only to Shemry as a driver, but Schultze in putting together a mean car.
Yeah, well said. And that was nice. One hand out the window, Scott Shemry celebrating a big final run. Let's relive it looking back from his car. Bo Yates never let him out of his sights. It's the kind of chase run you'd expect from a man who is on the verge of a championship. And how fitting that it should be up against the man who will hand him the trophy, because it's Scott Shemry who will be the outgoing champ. And I wait and wonder who it is who's going to be given first place tonight from the judges. Good chase run, this one for Bo Yates. Very close indeed. And it looks like it's through. Bo Yates finding out now that he is going to be the winner and the champion.
Bo Yates, here we are. Round 5, and you are the winner. Congratulations.
Cheers, thank you so much. I mean, to come up against the Blaze guys, I mean, they're such a formidable bunch. They're really good drivers, and they've beaten me all year, and I got bridesmaid last year here, and to drive up against these guys, I mean, they're fantastic talent, and you can only, like with Rob and Jabs tonight with the bonnet up and stuff, they definitely stole the show. So hopefully we still looked okay out there, but to get round winner and win the championship in the Hi-Tec series means a lot to me. So thanks a lot, everyone.
Good to finish on the podium again, especially in Schultze's borrowed car. Things a weapon, to perform well all night. Well done to the Black Tracks boys, obviously put together a really good car. Obviously thanks to all my sponsors, obviously all the Blaze Unit family out coming out and supporting us again. We couldn't do it without you guys, so yeah.
Yeah, well, after everything we've been through tonight, it was either I wasn't going to stop. The only way I was going to stop if I went over the wall and ended up in the pits. You know, and especially to be battling Jabs for third, it's a dream. Always battle with my boys in finals and stuff like that. So I'd like to thank the sponsors, obviously Hi-Tec Oils for the event and obviously the car, Hog's Breath Cafe, Achilles Radial, Famous Car Insurance. Without them guys, none of this would be possible. And obviously the crew, those guys never stop. It was 45 degrees here today and I would just non-stop. So without all of them, this would be nothing. Thank you.
Bo Yates, so deserving of this title. Brad Tui holds on to second, but desperately unlucky, to be honest, because he really deserved the chance to fight it out with Bo Yates tonight. Scott Shemry backing up last year's championship win, finishing third this year. James Abbott always in the hunt. But Dave, one day when there's a drifting Hall of Fame, you'd have to say that man on top of the podium would be just about the first name you'd put in here in Australia.
100%. He's been here since day one, so massive congratulations to Bo Yates, but also to everyone on the podium and who's participated in the season this year. Well done to everybody at Hi-Tec Drifting Australia who's made this happen. You know, Hitachi Tools, Achilles Radials. Thank you to everybody who's supported the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars this year. We'll be back next year, so look forward to it, where you get to see some of the best drivers in the country go door to door.